the introduction, the guy who writes the question says, like, I think the Pretenders are one of the most underrated bands of all time. Like, they're not, super praised or whatever, but what do you think? And the guy's like, well, the Pretenders are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? And then he goes on to say, and then there's artists like the Kinks and Tom Petty who are almost like they're kind of almost their claim to fame becomes that they are always on everybody's most underrated bands list, but they're also both in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so he starts drilling down and he goes, okay, well, there's a band like Sonic Youth that they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he's like, but the most underrated band he thinks of all time that doesn't get their due is Los Lobos.
Oh, wow.
So, and then he went straight to, there's an album by theirs called Kiko, which is actually, it was like the only record by them I own because everything else was a little too roots rocky for me. And that record's kind of like a deconstructed, roots rock record. It's actually pretty damn cool.
I want to say.
So then I'll say our friend Ray just shared a Paul Simon article that talks with really the head Lobo from Los Lobos about how, like, while he was in his Graceland period, he brings Los Lobos into, like, do some stuff with it. And he just
they got a lot of session work.
Completely rips off Los Lobos and gives them no credit whatsoever for a song that comes out on that record that they're just like, he gave us no credit at all. Like, and he goes, and it was our jam. He's just like, he goes, the thing was like Paul Simon had no idea what to do. He had no concept of the record. He had not written anything. And he brings us in and he's just like, well, let's just jam. And he goes, and that's not what we did. We didn't do a lot of that, but it's Paul Simon. So we start jamming and we're playing for 45 minutes or this or that. And he's just like, it's not really going anywhere. And we're kind of like, let's maybe do something else. And like those guys had a song. Well, like, let's play through our latest little thing that we've been doing. They hadn't recorded yet. They do it. Paul Simon immediately rips it. And it comes out of that thing and does not give the Los Lobos. And like this guy is telling that story, obviously 30 years after, Graceland came out. And he's just like, and he's still piss and vinegar, just like Paul Simon, like that guy is just nothing. I remember Fela gave him shit about Graceland too, right? Like, didn't he go there, start doing some stuff? And I thought Fela was just like, who's this guy? Like, who do you think you are coming here and just, appropriating this music? Like, really? And, Graceland is a lot of people's favorite Paul Simon record. They like it more than Simon and Garfunkel. It was huge. It was huge when you were first starting to hear that term world beat and stuff like that. Graceland, becomes...
Is Los Lobos on that one or the one after?
I thought it was that one.
Yeah, I can't remember. But he's also so the thing that I find funny because that what plays right into that story is his last studio album or maybe the one before that is produced by Brian Eno, but Paul Simon wouldn't give him the credit producer. Oh yeah. So it's just recorded by... Why
wouldn't you give Brian Eno? Like, if it was Brian Smith, you might be able to get away with it. But it's Brian Eno. Yeah. Like, and why wouldn't you want to tout that as like, hey, I got Brian Eno to do this? I know I'm Paul Simon, but
he did. Paul Simon, like but the term was recorded. My guess is it's also something along the lines of, well, if you produced it, then I have to give you so many points on this record. Yeah. Versus recorded, you're a hired hand or whatever. I mean, who knows? I mean, obviously Brian Eno can say, I'll take my YouTube money and tell you to fuck off. But, so there was something there. But I just found that.
Maybe if we dig deeper, this all goes back around to Desmond Child is back in.
Shut up!
He's back in there writing songs for Paul Simon.
I'll give you a beat down about Desmond Child, man. Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Desmond Child.
Listen here, Child.
You give Desmond Child a bad name.
And once again, I've killed the conversation. It was just starting up.
Right about now, you're getting a little tired of Desmond Child. I'm going down to Desmond Child.
Florida. When are we going to get Gibby on the show?
What's up?
I'm actually I'm moving at the end of May, and I'm moving literally right across the street from Gibby.
I know you got to get him on the show before you move out.
I don't know, Gibby. It'd just be kind of weird. Like, hey, come on our little show. We'll see. Okay, when it's like so. Oh, hey, this reminded me of something. So the story you were talking about the Sgt. Pepper thing in the comments. The most interesting thing of that story was in the comments. This guy makes a reference to my teacher in Mississippi. Said she knitted the sweater on the cover of Sgt. Pepper, the ones that says "Welcome
Rolling Stones."
Isn't it Welcome
so great.
Rolling Stones too? That's why I always found it was like kind of awkward, and it's on the mannequin in the thing. And so I happen to have Andrew Loog Oldham's email address, so I wrote an email to him because he had actually written back to me before when I was asking him about Brian Epstein's address book. So I thought it would be up for this, and he's been in Venezuela. Yeah, I think that's what he's been living in Venezuela.
He's trying to liberate the Venezuelans.
And he's been there and he loves it there. But I think he got out for COVID, and I think he's in Vancouver now or something like that. But he always does radio shows and stuff. He's remote, and he actually has a really good interview show too, where he digs back into like all people from the 60s and stuff. So I wrote him an email and I go, can you possibly tell me how a sweater knitted by someone in Mississippi ended up on a photo shoot in 1967? And I'm like
a Rolling Stone sweater,
sweater from Mississippi back in London. And I go, the only thing I guess is like, was there some radio contest where the band was given, like they went to the show and they gave the band, this was our contest winner, and it got thrown into a pile and it got back to the UK somehow, and it was funny and it was kept and whatever, and it ended up there. And so I hate to tell you, it's been 5 days. I've not heard back from him.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that.
No, but it's a cliffhanger.
I thought there was going to be. This is like your dad joke. I thought there was going to be a good punchline, a good
there is
payoff.
A good punchline. It just hasn't happened yet. Okay.
It's
called a teaser. Okay.
All right. So we're waiting to hear back.
We'll check back in episode 25. Okay.
That's right. Hopefully, and also we'll have checked in with possibly having Gibby.
Yeah. And
one of the
may
two
have been on the show by then too. So.
One of our other friends may appear on as a guest in that same time. But I'm going to ask you guys, because this has now come up a couple of times. You seem to trash Magical Mystery Tour, the whole record, the song, and
only
why.
So this is like don't throw me in like
I don't know. It's come up, right?
Attitudes about certain genius Beatle records.
Okay, well. I'm gonna.
We both know you're not schooling me, by the way. You can have your opinion. Go ahead and put your opinion out there.
I'm not going to school.
Don't preface it. You're prefacing it with this sort of I'm going to give you guys the lowdown. Like, please,
the beatdown has begun.
Please.
So, first of all, it's a unwatchable movie. It has its cute moments.
Never seen it.
I think the song Magical Mystery Tour itself is, I love the drums on it. And so I
love the song. It's a great song. It's a Paul McCartney song. Yeah.
And by the way, that is one of the most envious moments I ever had. A friend of mine was out in California. Like either he was on his way to or from, there was that old Chella show. And it was Paul McCartney, the Stones, Neil Young, Bob Dylan. Do you remember this thing? It was
recently. Yeah, it was like $4,000 a ticket.
It was crazy, but it was old cello, they call it.
Yeah.
But so somewhere in the desert on the California side, in California, there's this like groovy club that's just it's an old Western club, but bands play there all the time. Like it's always like it's like one of the favorite stops for Stephen Malkmus. They love this place. I can't think of the name. I'll dig it up but so my friend gets a tip that Paul McCartney's playing there, and it's the whole band or whatever. And so it's packed, but I think packed is 150 people. It's this little, and it's all long neck buds and stuff. And he says, they come out and they just launch right into Magical Mystery Tour. And I just hearing the story, I get the rush of the tingle of all of a sudden. Imagine, that they got wicked drummer he has just going,
he's awesome.
And you're like in this club and you're just like, that whole place must have been bouncing. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's like this is happening right there. I
like 30 feet away from me,
It's a song that I never really liked all that much, even as a kid. I mean, I listened to it, and it was just like I would play through it on Beatle records all the time, just because it was on, you were vinylizing and you just leave the needle down. And so it was the song that they opened up at Madison Square Garden when I happened to see him early 2000s. It was Hello, Goodbye. And this curtain goes up, and it is just what you just said, and it's like, it still is Hello, Goodbye. Let's not get us wrong. But but the band is just like, it just, the curtain comes up and, bam, 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 like you say, sting, I say, and like, and they're killing it. Like
the drummer
just like, and
out and out rocks.
It just is like
everything I've ever seen.
As the song is ever going to be.
I've never seen them live, but every footage or every television thing I've
song
seen.
that John kind of was disparaged, was just like, oh, that song, like that song, like I can't believe he's still writing a song like that at the time that song comes out. And that's going to be Hello, Goodbye, 67, 68. It's probably written 67. And Paul's still writing songs like, it's Little Brother would be a song like, A, B, C, D, can I take it? Like like Paul just writes these songs, like, lyrically it's been, just totally banal. Like where you're like, you say yes, musicals. I say no, you say high, I say low. You're going to go with that?
Yeah. Like you're not, you think you're done?
So Chris, you never let John finish his reasons why. So I want to give John now the floor.
Okay, give him the floor.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Tell us about.
Why it sucks.
Don't direct the audience to prejudice the audience.
You have. So first of all, right? It's an EP, right? It's not so the album is padded out
in Britain.
Yeah, but they slap like they do in America. They slap the singles on it. So all you need is love and like
11 songs, 37 minutes.
And so I'm trying to think is
like not to love.
I'm not a fan of Fool on the Hill, Blue Jay Way, Flying.
What?
Like I could care about those. They really don't do much for it. Blue Jay Way. The most interesting thing I found about it is like I went to that street in Los Angeles, Blue Jay Way. I was like, oh, that's cool. There's a fog upon LA. This is it. It's like, but I don't like outside of really Magical Mystery Tour itself. I mean, I Am the Walrus, I guess we count as part of it. So you got those two, and I'm happy.
Oh, what about, you haven't even mentioned Your Mother Should Know. Your Mother Should Know.
That was on purpose, Tony.
I know. He's writing.
That's just another like kind of song that John Lennon would just abhor.
He's writing
like, really?
songs for a musical.
Isn't that just like him?
Isn't that just like him? Right.
That's how I see it. And again, I say it all the time. I'm nowhere near at the level of what you guys are, but I do watch television and I watch the news, and every once in a while I'll catch something and remember it. And he said, well, me and John were just trying to be, like Gilbert and Sullivan.
The John Lennon song on that is kind of like a Hey Bulldogish song where it's like kind of off everybody's radar, but when you hear it, you're like, God damn, that song rocks. And if the podcast audience hasn't watched the live recording, that's actually like someone took the time to sync it up and stuff, because it was not at one point, but they actually took the song and synced it up with the actual, like the Beatles in the studio recording that song. And they only did it in a couple of takes. So, and there's some great 8mm or 16mm, whatever it is, footage of the Beatles in the studio, which there is not a lot of Beatles in the studio recording, where you actually can see that footage. And Hey Bulldog is one of those songs. And the other song on the Magical Mystery Tour would be Baby You're a Rich Man is underrated. It's underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But, right? That's the flip to All You Need Is Love, though, right? So it's on